The force from the massive bird's wings was so violent that trees were uprooted and flung against jagged rocks. The protagonist quickly dove between the boulders for cover, his mind racing as he tried to identify the terrifying creature above. He realized that he had become far too overconfident in his own abilities lately. In the presence of truly elite power, he felt as insignificant as an ant. When he peered out at the giant bird again, his face paled with shock. Floating directly in front of the creature was a brilliant sphere of light. Within that radiance stood Qin Tinley, a Tier 7 Grandmaster. Qin Tinley addressed the Golden Rock Beast King, identifying himself and stating that he was only borrowing the territory temporarily. He demanded to know what the beast thought it was doing. The massive bird let out a furious cry, retorting that it had never agreed to lend its land to anyone. Without hesitation, it bared its razor-sharp talons and launched an attack. In response, Grandmaster Qin Tinley channeled energy into his fist. He told the beast that if it wouldn't cooperate, he would simply beat it into submission. Their powers collided, causing the sky to erupt in a blinding flash. The sheer impact of the clash forced both of them backward. However, the Grandmaster surged forward again, his eyes and fists glowing with intensity. He shouted at the giant bird for being too loud before unleashing a rapid barrage of punches that thundered through the air. After landing several heavy blows on the bird's body, he delivered a final, crushing strike directly to its face. He warned the Golden Rock Beast King not to make him repeat himself. He ordered the creature to leave, reiterating that as Grandmaster Qin Tinley, he was taking control of the land. The giant bird took flight, retreating while shrieking a warning for him to watch his back. The Grandmaster dismissed the threat as nonsense and watched sternly until the beast disappeared into the distance. He then released a surge of energy into the atmosphere, announcing his presence to everyone below as Tier 7 Grandmaster Qin Tinley. He told the students not to panic and instructed them to proceed with their assessment. Witnessing this, the protagonist stood in awe, questioning if this was the true power of a Tier 7 human martial artist. In that moment, he vowed to one day reach that same level of strength. As Grandmaster Qin Tinley descended back toward the camp, he remarked to those waiting that he had selected the Golden Rock's territory specifically as a trial ground. He noted that the beast should have just cooperated instead of forcing him to use violence. He was met by Lin Zi and Bai Mu, both of whom were Tier 5 martial artists. Bai Mu commented that the Grandmaster was even more formidable than the rumors suggested. Lin Zi added that even the Golden Rock Beast King, famous for its nearly indestructible body, had been beaten until it lost its will to fight. Grandmaster Qin Tinley walked past them, telling them to stop with the flattery. He ordered them to the monitoring room to see which students were able to withstand the pressure released by the Golden Rock earlier. The two nodded and followed him immediately. Once inside the monitoring room, Lin Zi began reviewing the surveillance footage. He pointed out that most students were completely paralyzed under the Beast King's pressure. However, a few had managed to endure it. The Grandmaster noticed a particular boy who, after slaughtering a pack of Tier 1 late-stage black tigers, seemed unaffected by the Golden Rock's presence. He asked for the student's name. Bai Mu quickly pulled up the files, identifying him as Wang Tianxue. He was a Tier 1 high-stage martial artist with a vitality of 340 and a 95% fire attribute compatibility. He also possessed the rare, barbarian god body, which granted him immense physical strength. Furthermore, he was the son of the city lord of Star City. Grandmaster Qin Tinley recognized the connection. He recalled the city lord once joking that fathering a talented child was like playing the lottery. It had taken him over 100 children before finally producing one who was actually decent. On another monitor, the Grandmaster spotted a student who had not only escaped the direct range of the pressure but had done so using an exceptional movement technique. Bai Mu identified him as Lin Xing, a Tier 1 high-stage martial artist from the Lin family of Star City, boasting a vitality of 325 and a 96% wind attribute compatibility. The Grandmaster realized the boy was a spirit master, using mental power to regulate his own strength and counteract the Golden Rock's aura. He noted that the performance was quite impressive. Bai Mu then pointed to another screen featuring Xiao Yan, the heir to the Xiao family. He was a Tier 1 middle-stage spirit master with 290 vitality and a 95% wood attribute compatibility. The Grandmaster observed that these three had handled the Beast King's pressure with ease, proving they were significantly stronger than their peers. When he asked if there were any other notable talents, Bai Mu mentioned Lin Po and Wang, both Tier 1 middle-stage martial artists from prominent families. Bai Mu added that over a dozen students of that level had managed to stay conscious despite the intense pressure. The Grandmaster frowned, noticing a pattern. He questioned why all the top performers were children of powerful families. He demanded to know where the students from the public schools were, specifically those from Star City No. 1 High School. Bai Mu explained that most school-based students were only at the Tier 1 initial stage, with only 3 from the top high school having recently achieved a breakthrough. Before he could finish, the Grandmaster cut him off, stating that such results were disappointing and didn't live up to the reputation of Star City. Suddenly, Lin Zi let out a shout of surprise. He pointed toward the main screen, where the protagonist was shown relentlessly hunting ferocious beasts. He noted that even after enduring the Golden Rock's pressure, the boy still had the stamina to continue his hunt. Bai Mu began to tremble, stammering that the boy was a monster from Star City No. 1 High School. Hearing this, Lin Zi grabbed the student's file, telling Bai Mu not to panic in front of the Grandmaster. However, Lin Zi's own hands began to shake as he read the data. He whispered to himself in disbelief. The boy really was a monster. Grandmaster Qin Tinley took the record himself, scolding Lin Zi and Bai Mu for their lack of composure. He reminded them that as Tier 5 martial artists, they should have seen enough geniuses not to be this easily rattled. But as the Grandmaster's eyes scanned the page, the veins in his eyes turned red with shock. He gasped, wondering if the boy was even human. The file showed a 100% compatibility across all attributes and a unique physical constitution. He stood there stunned, questioning if such a creature could actually exist. Nearly tearing the paper in his shock, he muttered that a talent like this shouldn't just appear in a place like Star City. This wasn't a once-in-a-century talent. It was something that shouldn't appear even once in a millennium. His eyes glowed with a red intensity as if he had just discovered a priceless treasure. However, he suddenly paused, noticing a discrepancy. He demanded to know why a boy with such god-like talent was only at the Tier 1 initial stage with a vitality of just 123 points. Bai Mu explained that the student was attempting to cultivate 7 different guidance techniques simultaneously. Grandmaster Qin Tinley flared with anger. He realized that the boy's vitality was low because he was spreading his energy across 7 different cultivation paths. He shouted that even a god would fail if they tried such a thing. He blamed Wu Linxian, the president of the Star City Martial Arts Association, for failing to explain the basic dangers of such a reckless path to the child. Just as the tension reached its peak, an aide entered the room to announce that the students were beginning to arrive at the trial camp one by one. Grandmaster Qin Tinley replied that it was time to head down and see the students for themselves. When the first 3 students arrived, they quickly bowed in respect to the Grandmaster. He praised them, noting that they had done a fine job. As the hours passed, more and more students trickled in. Some were visibly shaken, whispering that they thought they were going to die because of the Golden Rock Beast King. 7.5 hours into the assessment, Grandmaster Qin Tinley hovered in the air, scanning the horizon to see if anyone else was coming. The field seemed empty. Some students began to mock the ones who hadn't arrived yet, questioning if they were really that weak. While floating, the Grandmaster's mind was occupied by the monster boy, the protagonist. He wondered why he hadn't shown up yet, even worrying if the boy had gotten lost. He couldn't bear the thought of such a priceless treasure being eliminated. Suddenly, he spotted a figure in the distance. Finally, he thought, the kid has shown up. The protagonist walked at a slow, steady pace. His clothes were heavily stained with blood, looking like a survivor of a massacre. Internally, he sighed with relief. He had been so preoccupied with gathering martial value that he almost lost track of the time. As he walked toward the ranks of students, murmurs broke out. Some mocked his ragged appearance, saying he looked worse off than anyone else. Others, however, noticed something strange. Despite the blood covering him, there wasn't a single visible wound on his body. They began to wonder just how many ferocious beasts he had slaughtered for his clothes to be in that state. Meanwhile, the 2 students he had defeated earlier glared at him, hands tightening on their weapons. One was ready to strike, but his companion held him back. "Don't be in a hurry," he whispered. "Once we're in the training camp, we'll have plenty of opportunities to deal with him." The 3 geniuses from the wealthy families were also observing. Lin Sheng noted that since the boy arrived at the very last second, he must be an expert. Xiao Yan found the newcomer quite intriguing. The chatter stopped when Lin Zi stepped forward to announce that the 8-hour limit had passed. Anyone who hadn't arrived was officially eliminated. He then proceeded to introduce the facilities and rules of the training camp. The training camp featured several critical facilities. Gravity training room, for physical conditioning. Movement technique training room, to sharpen agility and reflexes. Ferocious beast combat room, for real-world battle simulations. Martial arts pavilion, the hub for resources. In the martial arts pavilion, students could exchange points for martial skills, movement techniques, medicinal pills, and weapons. The highest tier available was A rank. The protagonist smiled to himself. Hearing about the A rank rewards confirmed that joining this camp was the right decision. However, Lin Zi added a catch. To use these facilities, they needed contribution points. The only way to earn these points was by passing various training subjects, with bonus rewards given for exceptional performance. Lin Zi then ordered the wounded students to follow him to the dormitories, stating he wouldn't let anyone die under his watch. A short while later, the protagonist reached his private room. He felt a sense of relief. Finally, he had a secure place to cultivate or upgrade his skills without being watched. He sat on his bed and opened his system window, seeing that he had accumulated 354 martial value. He immediately poured all of it into strengthening his martial body, pushing it to its maximum level. As he closed his eyes, he felt an overwhelming pressure. His body erupted with a powerful red energy as his mortal body underwent a 100% evolution. When he slowly opened his eyes, they glowed with a piercing red light, and his entire form radiated a formidable crimson aura. The chapter ends here. Watch out for our upcoming uploads. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you'll always be updated on our future videos.